All right, let's get started. I am Malik Singh, CEO and founder of Vanjaro, and in this webinar, we will be introducing our new Vanjaro store. So let's get started. So as we go along this webinar, feel free to ask questions, use chat to ask those questions, and I'll try to address them as we go along so they're more relevant rather than waiting till the end. So type away any questions you may have. All right, so we're here to introduce Vanjaro Store. So Vanjaro Store is an integrated experience for Vanjaro where you could explore new extensions, install them, license them, and manage them all through an integrated experience. So there's Vanjaro.com, and we have the new app store, which is store.vanjaro.cloud. And got a bunch of extensions here that you can explore and click on them to read more about what those extensions do and so forth. So this is a standalone site, store.vanjaro.cloud, similar to any other app store you're familiar with, like DNN Store or iTunes App Store and so forth. But what we're focused on today in this webinar is kind of looking at the integrated experience. So you really don't have to go to store.vanjaro.cloud. It's all integrated right with the new Vanjaro platform. All right, so let's go back here and let's look at the requirements. So Vanjaro Store is integrated in the open source platform. So if you're running the open source platform of Vanjaro, it's available to you. It's also available to the commercial business or enterprise customers as well. And the only requirement is that you need to be running version 1.4.0 for the integrated experience. So that is the version, the latest version that was just released last week. Make sure you've upgraded to be able to use the integrated store experience. Now, it is compatible with both the native Vanjaro platform or if you're using the Vanjaro as a DNN extension. So the experience is exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether you're using it for DNN or if you're using Vanjaro natively. All right, let's go ahead and get straight to a demo, and then we'll continue talking a little bit more about it. So one of the things I want to do first here really quick is just set up a new site. So we can go ahead and take a look at this. This is Vanjaro installer, and this is available from the GitHub page. Like I said, version 1.4.0 was just released last week, and then you can always grab the Vanjaro installer from the releases. Once you have it installed, it's pretty easy to set up a new site. So I'm just going to basically create a new site. I'm just calling it 1.4.0.vanjaro.local. We'll just hit create site. So we'll give it couple minutes and it should bring my new site to life. And there it is. It set up a new site for me. Basically, it went through, configured the database, installed the files, set up all the permissions, everything necessary, and I have a new site ready. All we got to do is basically choose a host username and password and then just hit continue. And this will go through the installation process and get the Vanjaro site configured and installed. This should be about less than a minute. So we'll just wait through this and all right, so this is done. Our site is ready. Let's go ahead and hit visit website. So we're waiting for the site to compile on the first go. That should be almost done. Should be bringing up the site any moment. There it is. That's our site. So if I can see I'm already logged in as a super user, and I can toggle in and out of my edit mode. So all right, we got a working Vanjaro site, and this was just Vanjaro platform 1.4.0 running on DNN platform 9.10.1. All right, so let's look at the store experience. The store is available from tools, extensions, and plugins. And if you were to click on the plus icon here, this brings the integrated store experience. So as you can see, this is very similar to what we were looking at here. this part of it at least, but it's an integrated experience. Now I can see that the store is right here. I can quickly see all the apps that are available, the themes that are available, any other extensions, and so forth. Now I can very quickly and very easily just click on the install button and get it installed and go from there. Now, before we do that, let's go back to the PowerPoint and let's look at the next things. So how is the store set up? The store is set up on a subscription model. So the extensions are licensed on a yearly subscription model. So you pay a yearly fee for the subscription for the license, which auto renews every year. The license is per instance. So that means once you license a product and install it on one of your Vanjaro instance, it covers the entire instance of that Vanjaro, which means unlimited sites and domains within it. It also gives you a non-product production activation. So you could have a dev, staging, QA, or test instance of your site or instance, which could also be activated. And then there's built-in management for licensing as well. So we have a question, can you transfer a license to another Vanjaro site? There's nothing built in right now to transfer, but since it's a subscription license model, that would be something that I don't see a problem doing. But it's just not implemented just yet. So if there's a strong demand from the community, we'll be happy to do that. Since you're paying basically a licensing fee every year, you should be able to take your license to a different instance if you need to. Even though it's not built in right now, the support team at Vanjaro will be able to do that for you. So if you reach out, they will be able to revoke the licenses from one instance and you'll be able to take it to the next instance. It's just there's no self-service tools available for that yet. So thank you for that excellent question, Josh. Yeah, you should be able to take your license and move it to another instance if you ever need to. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back and kind of take a look at exactly how this works. So I'm just going to go ahead and see. Let's try install the blog application. I'm going to go ahead and click install here. And one of the first things it does is it asks you to log in, and everything is seamlessly connected, all single sign-on. So it always takes you to vengero.com to sign in, whether you're downloading a template through our template library or you're downloading an extension. So I'm just going to go ahead and log into vengero.com. And the magic really happens now behind the scenes. You say it says installing. You don't have to download extensions, upload them to your site. None of that is needed. It's all single one-click experience. Everything's happening automatically behind the scenes. If you notice, it's actually installing two things. It's installing the blog, and it's also installing what we're calling the Vanjaro licensing code. So this is the extension that actually manages your licenses on your platform. It is important that this gets installed because Vanjaro being an open source platform, none of the licensing code is actually built into the open source code for obvious reasons. So we have a separate extension that manages those licenses for you. Now, all the extensions on Vanjaro App Store that are commercial, that are going to require some form of payment, will have a dependency on the licensing. The community is welcome to contribute open source extensions as well, and those will be free and won't have a dependency on licensing. If you're familiar with some of our mandeeps.com modules, you know that when you have to install a module, you have to install a common library and some other dependent packages first. Well, this Vanjaro store kind of automates that for you, because when you choose a product, it will list all the dependencies for you. All you have to do is just agree and hit install. And at this point, if it downloaded everything behind the scenes, it figured out the correct order to install them and already installed that for you. So it's literally just a one-click experience. So you don't have to worry about manually downloading extensions, uploading it, and so forth. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty open change from what we've been doing for years in the DNN ecosystem. All right, so now if I were to, oops, I toggled it off. I didn't mean to do that. So let's wait, since every time you install an extension, the site actually has to recompile. So let's give it a minute or less than that. There we go. And let's bring it back in. So now if I go to my site, I'd see there's a blog post option, which is a new feature that was just installed because we have blogs option. If I go to blogs here, I should also see in the apps, there's a blog app and the blog widget. So the apps that are designed for Vanjaro are completely designed for native experience. For example, I see my blog post right here says the site says we couldn't find a blog on the site. Do you want to start a new one? You can say start a blog. And it does everything behind the scenes for us automatically. It sets up a page, adds the blog instance, sets everything up, and we already have a blog set up. If I view that, you can go ahead and see that there's the blog already set up now. There's a blog page, and I can go ahead and start using the app. Now, what's really cool about native Vanjaro apps is you get the native functionality as well. For example, if I were to go back to the blog post, if I were to edit this post, I don't have a CK editor to write my content. I have the same user experience that I've already mastered building my pages. So that means I could grab and drag a grid, or I can go ahead and drag a video or an image in my blog page or a carousel or anything else. So I have the full rich feature of building my blog post. So my blog post could have tabs and accordion panes and carousels and maps and videos, all that without writing a single line of code, without ever going to a source tab of the CK editor or ever messing with anything else. So it's super cool. The entire experience is again in line with your page editing experience. So you could go ahead and preview the page before publishing it and so forth. So that's pretty cool. All right, and that goes for all the apps we have there. So if you're downloading email marketing, you can build your newsletters through the same experience. So there's no CK editor. If you have an online store, it's all integrated. The form builder is also integrated, and so forth. So I would implore you guys to actually go ahead and take a look at these apps and kind of play around with it on your open source platform or commercial platform. And now, if you're on a commercial business or enterprise platform, if you're an enterprise customer, then all these apps are already built in. You can always download them from the Vanjaro store. You wouldn't have to pay extra for them because they're already built into your licensing. But since I'm using the open source platform here, let's go ahead and take a look at something right here. On the notification, I see there's a new notification. It's asking me to activate license. And it's basically saying that we've installed the blog module, the blog app, and it's currently running in trial. And by default, all extensions give you a 14-day trial to run through. So as you can see right here, the trial expires on May 10th, about 14 days out. So we can go ahead and obviously install as many extensions we need. Just repeat the process. But what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and activate this and show the complete process of the integrated experience that you could explore, install, activate, and manage your licenses all from one place. Okay, all right. Sorry, bear with me just a second. I was trying to find some coupon code that I was going to use to actually purchase this. So bear with me just a quick sec. Okay, so to activate the product, you simply click activate here. Now what this did is, again, brought in the Vanjaro store into the view. This is happening seamlessly. It is saying you have no available licenses. Please purchase a new license. Now, it's doing that because I had already signed in to the Vanjaro store just moments ago when I was downloading when I was installing the blog extension. Now, if you're not logged into the store, it will prompt you at this point to first log in, and then it can figure out if you have any licenses available or not. So in my case, I do not have a license available, so I'm going to go ahead and hit subscribe now. And it takes me to the Vanjaro store payment page where I can simply go ahead and paperless. Now, obviously, for this demo, I just have a promo code that's gonna go ahead and make this zero, so I don't actually, go through a transaction. I'm gonna go ahead and hit subscribe. And by the way, that was a one-time use, so it's not gonna work again. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit subscribe, and basically I just purchased a license for that extension, and it says thank you for subscribing. You may close this window. I close this window, I go back here, it asks you to refresh your licenses, and when I do that, it now sees that I do have a license available, automatically understands the workflow that I was here to activate. So it's asking, are you ready to activate? If you're doing this, just remember this is your production install. So I'm going to go ahead and hit activate, and that's it. So at this point, the extension is now licensed and kind of lets us know that it will renew again next year at that particular time. So it's a pretty seamless experience, from exploring to installing to actually licensing the product is pretty easy and pretty quick. Now, once you have licensed product and a bunch of different extensions licensed, you want to know and manage your licenses, and you can do that here. And this again opens up Vanjaro store again, because I'm logged in, is showing me my licenses here. If you weren't logged in, it'll prompt you to first log in, and I can see and manage it from here. I can see the server that is currently being activated on. I can see the serial key of the extension. You know if it's a production server or it is a non-production environment. So how does the non-production licensing works? Well, as long as your domain URL has test.dev.qa. Or staging dot, one of these four prefixes, then it is considered a non-production environment, and you are able to activate the license on additional non-production environment as well. And if you ever want to go ahead and, so I think this was a license that was from yesterday that has been canceled. But if you want to go ahead and cancel the subscription so it doesn't renew, you can always do that from here as well. So you have complete management available right here. Right. So I believe this is it for the demo for the integrated experience. Perfect time for any questions before I head on to the next part of this webinar, which is if you're interested in selling your own extensions on Vanjaro store. So any questions, please bring them through chat, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask, you're more than welcome to do that as well. And if you would like to see any other extension installed, I'll be happy to do that as well. If you want to see the email marketing piece of it, we can do that as well. Okay, so we have a question from Josh. How do upgrade works? Are there any notification that lets you know there are any updates available? We don't have a upgrade service built in just yet, but the existing DNN concept of knowing if your upgrade is available, that I believe is built in. So you see a little icon here in your extensions, for example. You see I have the blog installed, and that little icon tells me that's in use. A new little icon pops up saying an upgrade is available. To upgrade is the same exact process. We just go there and just hit install on the new app, and it will take care of all that for you. All right, we have a couple more questions coming in. Jennifer would like to see a demo of email marketing, so I could definitely do that while I address some of the other questions. So there's email marketing. We'll go ahead and install that while I address other questions. And you can see this email marketing has more dependencies. And again, it makes it super easy. I don't have to manually install 3 different packages. Quickly gets done with one click. Now I have email marketing available to me. I'm just going to go ahead and actually just get out of here and go to the home page. All right. While I do that, I have a question from John. The license is per instance, so does it work on multiple sites? Yeah. So a Vanjaro instance, just like a DNN instance, can have multiple portals or sites within it. There's no limit on it. You can have unlimited number of sites, and your one instance covers the entire. Your one license covers the entire instance. So unlimited sites. I'll be happy to do a demo on that and show that to you. That's a pretty cool feature actually, because Vanjaro has the built-in site templates, so it makes it super easy to create new sites. All right, Jennifer, if you notice here that we have this new email marketing feature now because we installed it, and it says, hey, we couldn't find it set up. Do you want to set it up? So let's go ahead and do that really quick. And there's our email marketing now set up. Now I can go ahead and send new campaigns out. Let's go ahead and give this, call it test, and then go ahead and actually draft my email. There you go. We started off with a template already, so you can quickly edit and go ahead and change stuff. And it's exact same experience as we have. So you can just simply drag and drop buttons and delete them and so forth. And you also have a template library built in, and this would be available to you as part of our premium theme. That's one of the things that premium themes gives you is access to our template library. And that comes for everything. So including for email marketing, there's additional templates you can use. If you are just on a simple page, you have the access to the library, which gives you a lot of blocks. So you can just simply drag and drop and put them on. For example, here's a pricing table. Now, I do not, of course, have the premium theme license yet. So it's asking me and sending me to the store to go ahead and purchase it. But that's what the library does, gives you access to hundreds of different blocks, pre-built pages. And if you were to, going back to Don, if you were to create a new site, there's all your sites, and you can add as many sites as you want to your instance. Well, when you're creating a new site, it actually gives you access to all the templates that are available on vengero.com. And that's if you have the premium theme access. And then you can one of those. You can simply just use one of those templates to build up your new site. And if you just want a default design, you can do that as well. All right, let's continue on. Some more questions. This works for, I'm not sure if I understand the question, Don, but I believe you're asking, does everything that we've demoed works for Vanjaro as a DNN extension? If that is the question, yes, absolutely. So there's no difference in the experience whether you're running Vanjaro as an extension for DNN, or if you're running Vanjaro open source platform, or if you're a commercial Vanjaro business or enterprise customer. So all this is same for everyone. Now, of course, the only difference is if you're a Vanjaro business or enterprise customer, you really have, at least at this point, no need to go to Vanjaro store and subscribe to any of this, because all this is already built into Vanjaro business and enterprise. But going forward, the community will be, and other vendors will be able to go ahead and add their own extensions. And you as a customer, irrespective of how you're using Vanjaro, will be able to go ahead and license these extensions. All right, let me continue to go down the list of questions. Can we do a demo of the store, what the store looks like? Yeah, absolutely. While I go ahead and answer some of the other questions, I can go ahead and install the store as well. And by the way, you all have the ability to do this. You can just like we started, you can go ahead and install the open source platform and then very quickly install and evaluate all these extensions. So can the version of Vanjaro email marketing handle large outbound mailing or list? Yes, so you could throw as many, as large as mailing list as you need. We normally send out 50,000 to 100,000 emails in one campaign, no problem at all. So you should be able to do it larger than that. It's kind of built in foolproof to make sure if your server was to restart, if the IS reset, anything happens, it basically picks up where it left off. So that was a question from William. Also, can they be SSO? Yeah. So you define your SSO, your email server, email service provider, and their support for SSO built in. So when you define your email service provider here, there is a support for SSL built right in. So absolutely, right? There's SSL right there. All right, we have another question. And by the way, I think our store would be ready. Let's refresh the page. We have another question from Ken. If we wanted to bring this live on a site, is it installed as an extension and then enabled on a page like a scan? I believe, Ken, what you're referring to is how to use Vanjaro on an existing DNN site. If so, you would install it as an extension, and then Vanjaro is not a module, so it's not something you drag and drop on the page or a skin and so forth. There are a bunch of videos we have on our YouTube channel that will walk you through on how to set it up on a DNN site. Basically, once you install Vanjaro, you have a choice. Any new pages you create, you can continue to create them as DNN pages or as Vanjaro pages. And once you create them as Vanjaro pages, basically that page runs in Vanjaro. It's not like dragging something onto a page. You have the option and the choice to migrate your existing DNN pages to Vanjaro as well. And you can always live in a hybrid mode, which means existing site continues to run in DNN. The new pages you can create in Vanjaro or DNN as your choice. But once you are looking at a page that is Vanjaro page, then everything you're seeing here would apply to it as well. All right, we can keep those questions coming. And I'll go back to Josh's question if we can take a look at the online store. So now that I've installed the online store, you can see that option is right here too. And again, we can go ahead and create a store. Now, of course, store is a much more involved application than a simple application. So it really needs some stuff here, data to continue. It's just setting up the store, so bear with me. I'll try and see if we can do that. And I'll keep this. And it's asking you to ship or do business with all countries. If not, at this point, you can go ahead and add different countries you do business with. I'll just keep it to all. Some basic stuff like currency, dimensions, weights, time zone. And then while it's setting up the store behind the scenes, it's going to next ask us different payment methods that payment providers you want to integrate with, like authorized.net, Braintree, PayPal, Square, Stripe, and so forth. Now I'll just keep it check right now, and I don't think there are any other extensions, configurable settings for check, and go. And then if you're shipping physical goods, then you could integrate with FedEx, UPS, USPS, or have fixed shipping methods. Just going to keep this no for this demo, so we don't have to set up through all that. And then, of course, if you're collecting taxes, then you can set up all that too. And again, you don't have to set up in the setup wizard. You can always do that later at any different point. So here's the store. The store has been set up. This is my backend for the store right now. So every time you would go to your online store, it basically brings up your backend. You can see new orders that came through, orders that are waiting, ready for payment, ready to go out, inventory statuses, and so forth. So this is a huge application in itself. We can spend days and days just covering this. If you're familiar with our live store front module from mandeeps.com, then you are already familiar with this. But this is all integrated experience now into Vanjaro. So if I click on view store, this is it's going to bring the front end into the view. So we'll just wait for that to load. I do have a question here from Don. Is your checkout PCI compliant? So yeah, the application is PCI compliant. Everything that we've coded follows PCI compliant. But remember, the actual PCI compliance, it's not just limited to the software code. It also goes into your hosting. So make sure wherever you're hosting your sites is also PCI compliant here, including your data centers and so forth. But here's the store that was just basically created in one click, and then we can obviously go ahead and kind of customize it from here. For example, if I don't want this layout, I can definitely go ahead and change that, and you have the complete Vanjaro experience. I mean, I can go ahead and bring that here. And I can actually go take some of these things and bring it, move it to the right, and so forth. So I can completely customize it and move things around as I want. Anything else that you'd like to see? Any other questions before I move on to the next part of the webinar, which is what can we do to actually start selling on Vanjaro store? Yeah, that's so Josh is asking a question: with the blog extension, can you update the look and feel with the theme designer? That is an excellent question, Josh. Thank you for asking that. So with Vanjaro, everything is an integrated experience. So if you look at right here, there's my blog. One blog post was already created, and it's right here. So whether it's your form builder, your blog, your online store, everything is integrated experience. That means if I were to go to design and go to my themes and start changing some of my colors. So I'm just going to give you two quick demos here. So if I were to change the color from here, let's say to a red, just so it's very obvious, we changed it. This is just a primary color. So basically, everything in the site should change around to that color. If you go to the page right here, and go back to the blog, you see the menu changed, the blog changed, and everything kind of followed the color. So that's pretty cool, because just by setting your primary, secondary, third, and fourth colors, your entire site, every application installed on it automatically styles out and looks identical. So that's amazing. Now, if you wanted to go actual modify individually different applications and what their styling needs to be, then you can certainly do that too. As you notice right here, there's a separate section that showed up for blog posts after we installed the blog post extension. And then a separate section showed up for online store. So if I go to blog post, I can very quickly see that I have full control. I can style the comments down to the timestamp that appears on the comment. I can change the color, I can change the font size, and so forth. So very high level detail settings available to me, even from the pagination that is available, the pager that appears, you can change the color of the background, how it appears, the font size, and so forth. And here's the posts, the author, the gravatar, the headings, the sections, and the grids that we were saying. So full control is built in right here for you to just quickly click and point and change things. And of course, nothing is stopping you to write your own CSS as well. But the goal is we never need to even get that far. So completely customizable. Excellent question, Josh. And this applies to all the extensions like store. If you were to install and download Form Builder, then we'll see that as well. Now, obviously, we don't see email marketing because email marketing, those emails really don't live on their site. Those actually go out and ship out to the client. So for that, no CSS or no style sheets are needed. All the styling is when you design the emails, they're kind of inline styling built in and goes out to the client when you ship the email out. Let's see. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and continue to the next part of this this demo, this webinar, sorry, where we'll address what can you as a vendor or as a community member do to start selling on Vanjaro store. So if you are selling an open source extension which has no monetary component to it, then obviously some of these things don't apply. You're more than welcome to go ahead and contribute those extensions to Vanjaro store. You still have to follow the same processes that we have for commercial vendors, which means they still have to implement some of the code that we're going to provide. They still have to follow the design guidelines and so forth. They will be still vetted and curated before we put them on our store. But absolutely, this is open to the community and to commercial vendors. So the first step to selling, whether open source or commercially, is to become a partner. And that's again free. You just go on our site and apply to become a partner. And when you do, you basically choose an option that I'm interested in selling on the store. And at that point, our team will go ahead and provide you with the exact technical documentation you need to implement our store licensing. Now, it's a very simple model. It is a subscription-based store, so it's a recurring revenue stream. You earn 70% of each sale, so that's 30% commission that Vanjaro keeps to take care of the implementation of licensing, the payments, maintaining, managing, and so forth. And they're monthly payouts, so it's a pretty simple program at this point. If you are interested in becoming a seller, you would simply head out to the store, click on Start Selling, and then just click on Become a Partner. And that will bring you to our Vanjaro Become a Partner program. And from here, if you are registering to become a partner, you want to make sure you choose that I'm interested in selling on the Vanjaro store. And from there, our team will provide you with the next steps in terms of the technical documentation for implementing the iStore licensing. I can just say it's a pretty simple process. So your existing extension, you just add another implementation of iStore licensing. So you write a little piece of code that says this extension implements store licensing. To do that, you have to reference our store DLL, which is available as one of those dependency packages that got installed. So if you install any of the extensions in a trial mode, you will have access to the code you need to write that. And it's very basic, simple stuff, asking for what is the unique ID of your extension, what is the name, and so forth. Some basic parameters such as that, and obviously whether you want it to be monetized or you want it to be free. Once you implement that, we'll be able to upload it to our store. And there, as a vendor, you'll be able to then set the pricing on how much do you want to charge for this extension, and if it's a commercialized extension. And that's it. Any revenue generated is paid out on a monthly basis. I believe that's it for this webinar. So we are pretty good on time. Still have about 10-15 minutes. If there are any other questions, I'll be happy to address them at this point. All right, we have a question from Josh. Are there any other extensions on the roadmap for the App Store? Yeah, so we have actually a public roadmap available here on Vanjaro. So all those stuff is in the queue. We have a pop-up builder, an app builder, A/B testing, and so forth. So you can find the list on Vanjaro under the resources tab. Right, we have a couple more questions. One from Don. Confused on monthly versus annual. The items say monthly, but then you're charged annually. Which one is it? And was there a choice I missed? So, yeah, no, I hear you, Don. But this is kind of like the standard nowadays. If you go to, let's say, Wix.com or something, they show you pricing in monthly, but you're charged annually. So that's the kind of same thing that is happening with our store. Let me see if I can bring it up. And then thank you for bringing it to my attention. I think we need to have that very clear on the store somewhere, saying that you will be billed annually. So we'll add that wordage. Yeah, it just kind of makes it easier to understand what your costs are on a monthly basis, but you are billed annually, and it is an annual subscription. All right. I have a question from Ken. Is this hosted by PowerDNN? Not sure what you're referring to by this, but our entire infrastructure is on cloud. It has nothing to do with PowerDNN. We are on Azure, and this is the entire infrastructure is proprietary and written by us uh, in terms of the CDNs and everything else. Next question is, can they install this for you? Yes. So if you're asking, can manage.com install this for you? PowerDNN is formally PowerDNN. Yes, we have a lot of clients who are on manage.com and they're using open source Vanjaro platform. And you just need to reach out to manage.com and they will install it for you. Um, uh, it's in terms of hosting requirements. Yeah, you absolutely don't need to go anywhere else. It's exactly the same as DNN. So I personally know that manage.com has installed the Vanjaro for many of the clients. So you feel free to reach out to them and they'll be able to install it for you. All right. All right. Let's ask. Let's see. There's more questions coming up. Would succession be too personal to ask? What would happen if you're significantly incapacitated since you're the senior developer, owner, operator? That's a great question, William. So one of the very first things we did to mitigate that is to make Vanjaro open source. The entire source code is open to the community. So it is not on me. And if you actually look at the GitHub, I don't contribute code. The team does. So even if I'm incapacitated, the team would still be around. And the company would still be around. So hopefully that should address your concern. If a subscription is canceled early, is the annual subscription prorated? No, Josh, it is not prorated. Your subscription, you could cancel your subscription, but your license will still continue to run until end of the subscription term. If we had the prorated part in, then it would probably be more sense to just have the monthly payments in rather than annual. So again, this is modeled after we did a lot of research and we looked at a lot of different companies, and it's kind of modeled after what's kind of industry standard right now for this kind of process. Otherwise, anybody could literally pay you $20 and $15 and use the product for a month or 2 months and then cancel it. Now we want to make sure we have an ecosystem, at least for the vendors, that is sustainable. Because one of the problems in DNN store that we've seen, there's literally no vendors left that are actually producing any content or anything because they don't have a sustainable model. So we have to make sure that we have a sustainable model. All right, let's see if there is any other questions. Question from William, is Vanjaro open source? Yes, absolutely. The Vanjaro platform, the entire platform is open source, and the entire code is right here on the GitHub repository. This was one of our premises for starting Vanjaro, that we wanted to make it open source. This was our way of contributing back to the community, to the DNN community, and the entire source code is open source. Now, some of the applications that we're looking at today are not open source, like the online store, the email marketing, but the entire platform itself is open source. And that's why we have the store, because there's a commercial license and SLA that goes with licensing those commercial extensions. And if you're running business critical sites, we have a lot of clients that are running Vanjaro commercial versions, which are also available under pricing, under enterprise pricing. And it comes in 2 different flavors, the business and enterprise. And it includes a lot of the stuff you saw in the store, but more importantly, it has business critical support available, as well as hot fixes and so forth. So if you are running a larger site or a business critical site, then definitely you want to be looking at Vanjaro enterprise pricing. Right. Let's see. So from Eric, this is a significant milestone for Vanjaro. Yes, it indeed. I mean, we started looking at Vanjaro. Vanjaro was conceptualized in 2019 summer. It's been almost 3 years, and this was one of our visions for Vanjaro, which is to have an ecosystem where vendors can go ahead and contribute to the platform and add new extensions. So it took us a long time to get here, but we wanted to do it correctly. And the simplicity of any great software defines the complexity behind it, which is exactly the point of the software, in my opinion. You need to shield all the complexities and make it super simple and easy for the user. And that's precisely what we're doing with Vanjaro. In terms of what next on the roadmap, we have a roadmap out here on Vanjaro.com. So a lot of those apps and functionalities and features are something we're going to tackle next. And then, of course, we have the GitHub repo where a lot of the community keeps suggesting new features. And so those we continue to iterate and add it to the platform as well. Another question from Don. You mentioned manage.component. Can DNN for less startup a Vanjaro native site as well? Yeah, absolutely, they should. So in terms of technical requirements, there's no difference between Vanjaro and DNN. And the Vanjaro is running kind of on top of the DNN platform. So there's absolutely no reason why it wouldn't work. So just reach out to DNN for less and they'll be able to set up a Vanjaro site for you. And if they have any issues, ask them to reach out to us and we'll make sure they have all the support they need. All right, looks like we're pretty close to our time. So if there are any other final questions, I can address those. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up. It was a pleasure talking to you all, and thank you for joining. I respect and appreciate your time, and hopefully this was worth the time. And if you have any suggestions for Vanjaro or any other ideas, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to incorporate that into our next iterations. Thank you, folks. You have an amazing week, and we'll see you in next webinar in near future. Take care all. Bye-bye.